Alright, what's up, my boxing heads? We are back here with another episode of the Box Office. No bets, no odds, no tips or tricks today. Just a little insight on the Mungia versus Johnson fight that just got announced. I believe it's for October 30th. Long story short, you have Jaime Mungia, who just fought Gary Sullivan. Took him to the 11th round to get him out of there. And some would say an underwhelming, after what he had been through, Sullivan, being knocked out early in fights. 11th round, people were like, whoa. But then they considered, the weight gain and all that fun stuff. But let's keep it going. We all know who Jaime Mungia is, middleweight at a Tijuana Golden Boy Promotions. He's getting a nice little push now. But the thing is, how many of us know, or how many of the regular fans knew who Tureano Johnson was before this fight? Not a lot of us, not a lot of us. So with that, let's go into it and let's take a little dive into seeing who this guy is. Starting off, he is a little bit on the older side. He is 36 years old, and he has pulled up some couple of upsets. His last fight was an upset against Scott Quigley. That was on a Golden Boy promotional card. He had also never really been a favorite fighter when it came to like televised or bigger fights. He had never been the favorite. If you go back and you look at his odd history, when he fought Jason Quigley, the odds started at a plus 450 and closed out at a plus 274. Meaning, if you would have bet $100 when that fight had gotten announced and the odds were out, if you would have bet 100, you would have walked out with a $450 gain plus your 100, so you would have cashed out at 550. Same thing when he fought Sergey Derevchenko. That one actually opened up at 325, interestingly enough, and closed at 250. So it's kind of interesting to see now when we look back into it. That fight was in August 25th of 2017. Sergey was just 325, and then Quigley 2 years later, July 18th, he was at a 450. So it's very interesting to see. He actually had a fight scheduled for David Lemieux, but that fight never went through. It never happened. I don't know if it fell through because of injury, contract, I'm not sure, but that fight never happened. On the other end, you have Jaime Mungia, who's been the favorite all his fights. Well, all of them except the Saddam Ali fight. He was a plus 220, and it ended at a minus 125. All his fights, really, I'm looking at him right now. He's been the favorite from Jose Carlos Bas early in his career, Gary O'Sullivan, Patrick Dennis Hogan, Brandon Cook, right? So he's been the favorite. He's on that hot streak. But with that being looked into, Gary O'Sullivan, he took him into the deeper round. So what we might be looking at is kind of like a round betting prop. Maybe is the fight going to go the distance? So something that's going to determine that is his last performance. Did we think he did well? He did win by knockout. Was it underwhelming? Was he supposed to get Sullivan out of there a lot sooner? Did he get hit with punches he shouldn't have? Because if he did, let me tell you something. Johnson is a very, very stubborn fighter. Johnson is a guy that goes up, gets right on your grill, and starts throwing punches. The reason why Sergey had success was because when they were fighting on the inside, Sergey is really good at using his footwork and popping his shots up the middle and through the side. He did catch him when they were trying to reset their distance with the overhand right, and then Johnson comes out strong too. So the first 4 rounds, he's going to come in here and try to outwork you, try to make his point proven and show him his power, trying to manhandle you. This being Mungia's second fight at that weight class, it could pose some issues for him, considering Johnson is a very physical fighter. I wouldn't say necessarily one-punch power, but I mean, in boxing, anything can happen. You get hit, you get hit. The thing that Johnson had is very persistent. Like I mentioned, he's very stubborn. Some of those punches, those right hands, they come up over the top. They seem like slapping, thudding punches, but he is very, very physical in there. Keep in mind, he has been stopped the 2 times that he stopped. That he lost. He was stopped. One of those, as I mentioned, was against Sergey Derevchenko, where he was stopped. I think they actually, for that fight, the ref stopped it. I think, or it was TKO in the round 12, and then the Quigley, he won that with Quigley, the corner not responding to the call. Quigley was not responding round 9, in between round 9, after round 9. His other loss was against Curtis Stevens, and you can see why. Stevens is a very physical fighter as well, so they kind of met in the middle, which makes this fight so exciting and intriguing because Johnson is technically the bigger man. I know Mungia might be... Johnson is 5'10", and then Mungia is 6 foot, but their frames are totally different, and you can see it in their shoulders and their arms, because of the physicality and how they fight. Johnson could pose problems, but Mungia should be able to weather the storm, and if you can take him into the later rounds, he'll have success, unless you pull off a Quigley. And Quigley, he wasn't knocked out, but he was just getting hit with punches he shouldn't have. It looked like they were playing Fight Night and someone disconnected the control and he was just standing there taking punches, hugging, basically surviving. So unless Mungia, if he does that, yeah, he'll be in trouble, of course. But I see something panning out more like the Sergey fight where Mungia can kind of... you're playing to his style. This is hats off to the matchmakers because you have Johnson, a guy that's lost, a guy that's game. He has experience. He's lost to the cream of the crop. I guess to the second level or better tier of competition. He beats who he's supposed to. He's a good measuring stick, a good stepping stone in Mungia's second fight in their weight class. Mungia, on the other hand, it was a little underwhelming, but it is a different style than O'Sullivan. This guy is someone that's going to be there to get hit, but he's also going to hit you. So it could be a nice little wake-up call within the first 4 rounds. Johnson does lose some steam in his punches after the 4th round. I think in his fight against Sergey, he got hurt in the 5th round. And then from there, it was just he was getting hit more and more, and he got hurt multiple times throughout that fight. Mungia can do the same, but I'm not going to go ahead and say Mungia by knockout, although he can, just because I need to see more urgency from Mungia. He let Sullivan off the hook, I feel like, and he dragged that fight a little bit more than it should have gone. And if he does the same, he'll do the same. As long as he's not taking those punches, he'll be fine. Johnson, on the other hand, he's the upset man. He was a minus, what did I say before? He was a minus when the Quigley fight started, a minus 450, and he pulled up the upset. So the odds on this are going to be very interesting. I'm very curious to see where they're going to put Mungia and where they're going to put Johnson. And I'm curious to see what they're going to say about maybe Mungia by decision or Mungia by knockout, or what happens if the fight doesn't go the distance or does go the distance. I don't mention the upset now because I need to see the odds first. Always when betting for an upset, always when betting for the favorite, by knockout, you want to look at the odds and see what they're offering as far as wagering. There's always, if you're 100% sure, ways to bet for Mungia, so you can bet for the knockout and bet for the win and not have to even lose money if he wins by decision. You don't get that knockout money, or if you get that knockout money, you win double the prize. So there's tricks to the trade, but we'll go ahead and discuss that later. We do have a couple more fights that I'm excited to talk about. Leo Santa Cruz is an interesting one. We have fight weekend coming up. I might try to do a live if there's enough people interested where I actually place my wagers, so that we can get that going, guys, and you guys can see how I go about it and what my strategy is when placing my wagers. But there it is, a little background on Johnson and Mungia. It should be a good one. Hats off to the matchmaker. You have a guy that's lost before, that's a willing person to, he's going to engage. He's going to be there. And Mungia, that seems to be the style that he prefers. Someone that's in front of you, not too much movement, so that he can kind of tee off on you. But this guy is live. He will make it interesting in the early stages of the fight. If Mungia can weather the storm, then he should be able to handle his business. But with the underwhelming performance, some would say, with Gary Sullivan, some people are just curious to see what Mungia has at this weight class. But we'll talk to you next time. This is the box office. Take care, boxing heads, and you'll get hopefully one more video of me before the fight night, and then we'll get a reaction. Take care, guys.